A synopsis, don't forget. Died suddenly, the public have a short memory. The Rothschild Secret Covenant and Mark Sexton's letter by Leon George. Sinclair, we have a situation here that is unprecedented in the history of history itself. The people now know with verified public domain information, and with great certainty, that the government, royals, members of parliament, celebrities, sports players, musicians, etc., were all Satanists who torture, rape, and kill society's most vulnerable members, or children. Not only that, but that the police, social services, CAFCAS, NHS, education system, etc., are all involved in it, held together by the secrecy of the higher echelons of the craft of Freemasonry. Not only that, the COVID-A vaccine bioweapon has now killed off over 1 billion people worldwide, with over 2.2 billion life-changing side effects and contraindications. This is all now coming out for the public to essay on television. It's even in the mainstream news. And look at the public's reaction: mute. They don't even mind being slaughtered. In fact, they would rather be slaughtered than raise a publicly voiced opinion about not being slaughtered, just in case they are wrong. You see, they wouldn't even be sure if genocide was publicly okay or not. I mean, they are watching genocide take place in front of them for 5 years now. So let me analogize an instance, for example, a GP. March 26th to 2020, a GP comes home from work and turns the TV on. COVID panic for a new deadly virus. The GP isn't stupid, she is a well-trained academic. They open their email and see new measures from government: masks, social distancing, hand sanitizer, etc. GPs were not on TikTok or Instagram. They have a lot on. They may have been on Facebook, but mostly with other medical peers and colleagues, so they completely missed the awakening community's conspiracy theory rubbish altogether. This is easily understandable and makes sense, even considering that professional people tend not to contemplate anything labeled as a conspiracy theory, in general. It's easy to see why the medical world 1 Leon don't get deed suddenly .txp Leon don't get deed suddenly 3/9/26 8:23 p.m. page 1. Did not encounter any reality on COVID because of fear of the virus itself. The fear was hyped up on TV on purpose, with a fake death toll counter on every news feed that helped people physically see the deaths in real time. There wasn't any deaths, it was all fake, pre-programming Tavistock Institute MK Ultra on TV and in films about viruses in the future. All this plays a role in a person's decision-making protocols when an event like COVID transpires. People have had their common sense decision-making skill set blunted with medication, toxic foods, water, and false information, making them docile and malleable, just as the Rothschild Secret Covenant Charter explains in point 9. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. But more on that in a minute. So a GP, being default frontline healthcare in a situation such as this, is as worried as the next person is, but they have to remain professional and follow the guidelines. But now let me explain. At some point after the 26th March 2020, and before the vaccine rollout in 2021, there was a year of lockdown. People had time to research anything they wanted to, be that fly fishing by J.R. Hartley or vaccines, viruses, Tartaria, mudfloods, resets, maybe even flat Earth. But they had time presented to them to spend how they saw fit. Even those who did no research whatsoever, still these people smelt a rat at some point before the rollout. Many people were reluctantly complying, maybe 25% in the UK as a rough guess. The rest seemed to fall for it hook, line, and sinker. So the GP who fell for COVID at the start had a whole year to look into COVID before the vaccine rollout started. Many GPs quit back then, seeing this for what it obviously was. But the majority stayed, not willing to quit their profession. They thought they would weather the storm from the safety of their surgery. That is exactly what died suddenly was for in the first place. To confirm everyone's suspicions regarding the COVID vaccine in a public way, and let them either hang themselves with this obvious intel, or let them use this died suddenly as an exit strategy from the healthcare system before it's too late. I spoke to a GP in person when she came to a home call-out for my mum. She was a lovely Spanish locum GPP traveling, not permanent. She was in her late 50s, I'd guess, and she said my mum needed to go to hospital, and obviously my mum wasn't up for that because of the COVID scam. I then had a chat with the female Spanish GP all about the COVID scam. I told her what I thought this is a year plus before I met Christian, and she admitted, with very worried concern in her voice and on her face, that this I believe to be true. My friends in Spain are saying that people are dying of this vaccine. I had to have 2 shots for work, but I regret it now. I interjected that in reality she didn't need to have them. There were lawful ways of not having a shot. I helped a few nurses out of that one. They were looking at the sack, but I had solid paperwork, conditional acceptance, that placed any possible injury caused by the jab firmly on the shoulders of the employer in any industry, while still agreeing to have the shot, if the employer signed the document. Obviously, the person has agreed, so they can't be sacked for agreeing, but no employer would ever sign that catch-22. Use that conditional acceptance. If this happens again shortly to carry on getting paid. But where was I? The Spanish GP. She got angry with me and shed a few tears. I apologized. I said, "Sorry you had to have it because you're a GP. My mistake." She said her friends, previous colleagues in Spain who she worked with for 20 years prior, were all talking about how many people are getting hurt by the vaccine. This was about 6 to 8 months into the rollout in 2021. She knew what I'd said was true, especially regarding died suddenly. This was the actual cutoff point for willful blindness, consensus blindness, call it what you will. It was died suddenly that separated the wheat from the chaff in no uncertain terms. This was the moment of separation. All GPs had a hunch that something was wrong with COVID. Same as the public, at least 25% smelt a rat, but they couldn't put their finger on it. That's what died suddenly was for, to guide that cerebral finger to where the donkey's tail goes. The public looked to the healthcare system for reassurance, but the healthcare system was also run from the top down by 33rd degree Freemasons, not health experts, but people who kill children and who are orchestrating genocide. Can you see the conflict of interest here? It's all pretty unambiguous, isn't it? I mean, if you take the Rothschild secret covenant and Mark Sexton's letter, both attached, to the actual people in charge of decision-making at this governmental level who are responsible for a public crisis such as this. CRN 609679211, the Lady Chief Justice of England and Wales, Baroness Sue Carr. 2. The Secretary of State for Justice, the Right Honourable David Lammy MP. 3. The Attorney General for England and Wales, Baron Richard Hermer. 4. The Chair of the Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee, PACAC, the Right Honourable Simon Hoare MP. 5. Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Service, Sir Mark Rowley. I will include both letters here in this post for anyone who hasn't seen the letter that retired policeman Mark Sexton wrote to government. Or the Rothschild Secret Covenant. It's a real document that the deep state had actually completed every point on the 70-point list. They completed it, past tense, let that sink in. Why are GPs still offering people all kinds of vaccinations? Are they mentally infirm or just plain stupid? Or are they secretly praying that this will actually all blow over, and they will be protected from military tribunals by a lot of paperwork in the distance of time? The governments have all been removed ages ago, before COVID-19 happened. All the danger to children was removed, so all 33rd degree Freemasons and upwards were removed way back then. The public, or at least a small percentage, are indeed pushing back, albeit very meekly, cap in hand in many cases, because they are not used to this type of confrontational interaction with persevered authority. People want a relaxed and easy life. They do not want to have bodybuilding bailiffs turn up and demand their belongings because they parked on double yellow lines once a year ago. People don't want the aggro, so they conform, which is human nature. I'm not questioning that, as some people are good at some things and others are good at other things. After all, You do not judge the ability of a fish by how well it can climb a tree. But when pushing back, you need to understand that you yourself are now the authority. Everyone you interact with in the real world is a corporation, or a corpse orating, a dead entity speaking. Whereas you, because you are now awake, you are in control of your straw man merely by knowing of its existence. You won't get any money from your bond, but you can use it to pay bills with all of them. Your straw man is a single number to start with. It's your birth certificate number, but after the age of 15 years, 9 months, when you are declared lost at sea, you get an NI number. In the future, you may get a passport and a driving license also. These numbers add to your bond's value, each document, by the total bond value of the first document, birth registration docs. By the age of mid-40s, you are actually worth a few billion on each person, or should I say, each registered birth. And this is the start of the financial fraud, generations and generations of it. This is the reason you are in debt, and why you have to do overtime, because you borrow this money from yourself, but you physically work your whole life to pay it back. But it was yours to start with. The elite had direct access to their own sestuiquivi bonds, sestuiquivi for I am alive, set up after the Great Fire of London in 1666, during the last half of Tartaria. Their earned wealth was just on paper. They didn't need that, it just looks like they are really clever and earned it all by their own ingenuity. But the elite are a part of the illusion, the class system. The elite had to be there for people to look up to and admire. This makes others want to do the same, and then everyone wants to be the queen. So they made celebrities, and famous as people. They may not be the kings and queens, but with the right setting and enough bullshit, these celebrities are now as kings and queens, as far as the public are concerned. They see Prince Charles getting out of a helicopter to play golf. They too can exit a helicopter on the golf course if they work hard enough. They were adored for adoration's sake, gratuitous and unwarranted adoration. They need you busy either studying for something or working and paying tax. They don't want everyone on holiday on the beach in Barbados, with loads of time to think about things, such as history, the Earth's shape, space, Satanism, and pedophilia. They don't just look at you and what you think, they gauge this sentiment off a percent of the entire population, country-specific depending on what it is to be about. The White Hats GAA are doing the same, because they have done exactly the same as the Cabal did, reverse everything. Except the GAA took the sting out of the tail, as far as the general public are concerned. You might ask how that is possible considering that there are over 1 billion dead and over 2.2 billion injured permanently. It's because 97% of the public are NPC, and they were not here at the start. They will not be here at the end. This is how they got rid of some of them. The rest will pixelate into dust when the time comes. They even show you this in movies. When you see someone in a film turn to dust that disappears upwards, that is exactly what it will look like, dustification that disappears. When will the time come when people finally have had enough? I don't see that time coming without a lockdown first, especially not in the UK. People are wet here in the UK, all these wannabe gangsters for a start. Pussies, scared pussies. Most of them got a vaccine for a virus that didn't exist, and the rest are all just talk. What about the ex-military? Where are you? Happy to kill foreigners on their soil, but not your slave masters on your own soil, when we all know that they are absolute wrongins who have been orchestrating wars for hundreds of years? Is that because when you're fighting in wars overseas, you have a radio where you can call for help from more people with more guns? Same as the police, they are happy to assault you when there are 3 or more of them because they know they won't get hurt. They have tasers and radios to call for more backup if need be, but catch one on its own, it's a different matter entirely. All these marches that people went on in London, they were all ordained by the government, attended by people there like Gareth Icke, son of the Satanist sellout David Icke. It's all a psyop, yet people thought they were pushing back by attending these rallies. They wanted you to attend them. It's all orchestrated. People end up doing exactly what the government wants, even those who think that they are nonconformists, like punks back in the 1970s. They wanted punks, punks were manufactured. Same as the hippie movement. And the rave scene in the 1990s, It was all designed, it wasn't rebelling. It was a necessary part of societal mechanics for different outcomes in the future. Many different outcomes profit for a start. Drugs were the second largest illegal industry at one point. Mental health was another great reason to allow mind-altering drugs onto the streets, so that children can experiment and later go on to form dysfunctional family units. Drugs were a major player in illegal profits from governments. Broken homes are necessary for social services, the courts, and Kafkas to intervene and remove children. Crime is also important because once in prison, you are valuable. Your straw man pays out a fortune when you are in prison. For instance, it's about $250,000 per annum to keep an inmate in jail. It's obviously not taxpayer funds that pays for this. It's the prisoner's own cestui qui bond that pays for it all. Then there's consultations, medication, courses, all paid for by the prisoner's bond, not the taxpayer. Crime is also important for the insurance scam. They wouldn't need theft cover if there was no crime. It's all interwoven, nothing is by chance, and nothing is accidental. It was all carefully thought out by 12th density custodians before they lost their density and ended up in 4th density because of their sacrificial ways. This is all so easy to see now that we have the jigsaw puzzle box's lid. We have the full picture to see where the other pieces go. It's not even remotely ambiguous now. Some of the bits we had upside down and some the wrong way around, but for the last 4 years, because of Christian 21's information, all these pieces now fit. We have the full and entire picture. We just don't have a date for a scare event, until the scare event actually occurs. So everyone knows that if they go it alone, it really will be alone, because everyone else is terrified of breaking the law, but they are not. It's their natural rights that have been subverted, or standing out. No one wants to be wrong. Pride and ego are more important than shining your light and speaking the truth. All the new men have been emasculated to a point where they now wear makeup, so there's no point looking for a man born after the year 2000, because they ain't even sure what sex they are themselves. It seems interchangeable to most these days, and oddly, the younger generations willingly accept this as normality, when it certainly is not. Well, it wasn't until children's TV shows like Hollyoaks started introducing boys wearing eyeliner, mascara, and foundation about 30 years ago. That was the obvious start. Well, even that started in the 1940s, but I'll well digress if I have to explain all that again. So let's just say that it emerged as a subtle intrusion with characters such as Dame Edna Everage and Lily Savage, theatrical trannies on TV being flamboyant trannies, and setting the tone of the flamboyant tranny visage and personality way back 40 years ago, longer, but you get me. Then the subtle introduction of the gay person on TV. Then the celebs admitting years later that they are gay. Many have done so over the years. Then they wheel in the mascara wearing 14-year-old schoolboys on TV shows 20 years ago. Then fast forward to LGBTQ being the end result of all that planning and timing of societal norms, public tolerance levels, and acceptance ratios to shoehorn that in at the end. It's very clever, but we can see through it, so it wasn't clever enough. It may have been clever enough for NPCs to latch onto, but not real souls. We won't wear it. Please don't forget that there are 200,000 actors in this movie. I know several 33rd degree Freemasons. I personally know the Grand Master of the Knights of Malta. I've met him many times in several countries. We first met in 2017, and I spoke to him on the phone as late as 2021. In 2017 in London, he told me he was a Luciferian. There's only one God, Leon Lucifer. I didn't know what to make of that statement back then. I wasn't even sure what a Luciferian actually was. He is a bit larger than life in reality. I really liked him, to be honest. He's a right character, and I didn't have a clue what all that was about back then. If you had asked me how many practicing Satanists there were on the planet, I'd have assumed less than 100. Literally. I mean, who the fuck is into killing shit for a laugh? It's not real? Surely it's not. That was the end of the conversation with him back then on that topic. I met him some more times, met his wife, spoke to him dozens of times between 2017 and 2021. He had several large cannabis licenses through his Masonic connections to European royals, who he went to military training with in the 80s, and we were going to work together on some of these projects. Then COVID came. I introduced this guy to my business legend pal, who stayed in touch with this guy more than I since 2017. We have had this conversation many times. I'm like, bruv, how is he still alive? How isn't he in a FEMA camp? Yet, I came to the conclusion, the only feasible conclusion in light of current affairs, that when I met this guy in 2017, he had already been replaced. I met the replacement. I never met the original, a little bit like Charlie Ward the Truther in Marbella, Spain. That bloke with all the followers is not the original Charlie Ward, who was an evil Satanist. The original Charlie Ward was like the Derek Trotter of Satanism. If you were an elite or a celeb, or just in the ultra-rich set who know people through the accumulation of more than average wealth, Charlie Ward would be the man you rang if you were having a party and urgently needed $20 million in cash, 35 x 11-year-old girls with ginger hair, 14 Indian boys under 5, 20 x Chinese 12-year-olds, 2 kilos of coke, and half a liter of adrenochrome. Charlie Ward would have that at your door, anywhere in the world, within hours, for the right price. So, I met and befriended the replacement in 2017. But if you personally know a 33rd degree Freemason, as in you had dinner with them more than once, or they are in your family, when did you last physically see them? Judges, that's a good one. 33rd degree Freemason judges have all been replaced. So who is sitting in the chair, presiding on your case right now? Are they replacements? Or new judges? Have all the 33rd degree judges retired since 2021? Or are they too replaced with the same name as the removed judge, and sitting there in a prosthetic skin mask? I think that unlikely. Judges need to know legal law, inside out, and a replacement can't do that day after day in a courtroom scenario. Maybe once, with a voice modulator and an earpiece, but not ongoing for 5 years in a working environment. So I'd guess they had exit stories or early retirements, and were all replaced with new judges? The government tried to kill everyone with a bioweapon, whilst being guilty of over 10,000 crimes themselves, the worst of which were child trafficking, organ harvesting, rape, torture, pedophilia, SRA, satanic ritual abuse, fraud, treason, gross misconduct in public office, manslaughter, murder, wrongful imprisonment, kidnap. And this isn't some people in government, it was all of them, from all parties. They are all in the same club, while pretending to hate each other publicly. You wait till you see how many children Nigel Farage has raped and killed. Govern to control and mente mind so. The government means the controllers of the mind. There are literally thousands of crimes. Most of them are extremely heinous and utterly despicable, far worse murders in the sacrificial torture category than any normal child killer or murderer in the public would contemplate committing. You would have to be utterly insane and twistedly deranged to completely skin, flay a living child while raping them with broken beer bottles sporadically, carefully cutting their face off of their skull, with no anesthetic, and wearing it as a mask on your own face, so that the dying child can see their own face on you. That is the most disgusting thing I have ever heard of in my fucking life. Pretty much standard practice for experienced Satanists, and a very favorable form of torture for the majority. Your local member of parliament, as just one example, will have a good idea how to do this form of torture, having had many years to witness this practice, even if they are not at this skill level themselves. The skill level? Yes, it's not easy keeping a child alive for 4 days with no skin anywhere on its body, no face, no hair, just raw muscle and gristle, bone and ripped flesh. The poor child hasn't slept in days and will be exhausted, having been gang raped by dozens of people, sodomized, raped with sharp objects, and electrocuted. So it's only a highly skilled witch that can prevent the child from having a heart attack from the agony on the first day of torture. So yes, it's a skill, unfortunately. Don't forget they do not use pain relief. That taints the adrenochrome. It has to be raw, palpable fear, and prolonged and sustained excruciating pain for at least 3 days. Then they have their money's worth of adrenochrome, a nice amount, maybe 10 milliliters, 2 tablespoons per child. If they are lucky, they may get 15 milliliters per child. Once the child is spent, they smash its head in with a claw hammer and throw it in the bin with the rest of the corpses from that day. The organs are removed and eaten immediately while fresh or sold, as the market was huge for hybrids and others who need human organs to survive. But they are in the public, so to speak, so they buy organs from corrupt 33rd degree Freemasonic hospital management. Others buy these leftover sacrificial remains to eat, but there were many reptilians in the public domain who are there for a reason, who needed to access fast food, and that was how it was achieved. Nothing was wasted. They need the negativity of these remains to be spread about. You need to be living inside remains. The bones go off separately to be dried and powdered. This powdered waste material went into all building materials from concrete to plaster, paint to plasterboard, tarmac, anything. It went in under the guise of catalog numbered products. In the food industry, for instance, these were the AE numbers and obscure chemicals on the side of food packets. The secretion glands are eaten sold, as are all the organs. The eyes and brains are also eaten sold. The hair is collected and went through a process that powdered it all into a very fine powder, and believe it or not, they added that to brown bread products, as well as other places. Aborted fetuses are used in vaccines, human fibroblast fetal tissue cells, and every part of a fetus is also used. Much of that goes into children's processed foods and baby products. Talcum powder had asbestos in it. I mean, there was no escape from this. You want to be grateful that Christian's imaginary friends turned out not to be imaginary, and that we have the backup that is now blatantly apparent. These remains are all collected and taken away to processing plants. The meat is separated and goes into a maceration process to reconstitute the meat. It's treated in formaldehyde to remove human DNA traces, packed and sent out to all the multinational food corporations. They add these human-derived products to all of their produce. All of it. Did you actually believe that Linda McCartney's sausages were made from vegetable matter? The people you see on TV who run your country and supply your entertainment were all up to this and much, much more for an incredibly long time. Many, many generations, let's just say. Freemasonry ran through the immune system of reality like a suffocating cancer. It has now removed. The way is clear to push back with impunity. Please seize that moment. Now we all know about it. Some of us, thanks to Christian 21, are privy to pretty much every conceivable missing jigsaw piece on the subject of the Great Awakening itself and all that entails. We know the full story. There are no mysteries left to unravel. We know who is guilty, and we know why they are guilty, and what they are guilty of. We also know of reality and what's in store. Below is the letter that Mark Sexton, the retired police constable, who is spearheading the legal aspect to the revelations of police fraud and corruption regarding the COVID scam. He edited. The evidence establishes beyond doubt that crime reference number 6097921 was unlawfully shut down, outside all statutory frameworks and under the influence of a national command structure which extinguished investigative independence across the United Kingdom. Mark Sexton is a fucking legend. The letter below details his exhaustive research over the last 6 years and what he's done about it. He doesn't know or understand that the people he's written to in this letter, Commissioner Rowley, Lady Chief Justice, for instance, plus the rest, were all removed in 16, 17, 18. He also doesn't realize that he is writing to the white hat military central casting. But let's look at the police cover-up of genocide. If everyone was to read this letter from Mark Sexton, print it out, take it into your local police station, and ask them what they plan on doing about it, this might be over a bit quicker than it's currently moving at. Date, 18 November 2025 at 09:57. Dear Lady Chief Justice, Secretary of State for Justice, Attorney General, Chair of PACAC, and Commissioner Rowley. Urgent. Constitutional correspondence requiring immediate response. Please find attached constitutional correspondence dated 18 November 2025. which has also been issued to each of you today by Royal Mail Special Delivery in order to ensure confirmed delivery. The matters set out in the attached document are of immediate constitutional and criminal significance and require your direct personal attention. As stated within the correspondence, a written response from each of you is required within 7 days. Once your reply is received, the meeting which is mentioned in the correspondence document can then be arranged. Yours sincerely, Ian Clayton, late investigator, Ethical Approach UK. Atted. Constitutional Correspondence dated 18 November 2025, PDF. Private and confidential serious constitutional failings undermining the rule of law, with bearing on national security and matters of overwhelming public interest, date 18 November 2025 2. 1. The Lady Chief Justice of England and Wales, Baroness Sue Carr. 2. The Secretary of State for Justice, the Right Honourable David Lammy MP. 3. The Attorney General for England and Wales, Baron Richard Hermer. 4. The Chair of the Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee, PACAC, the Right Honourable Simon Hoare MP. 5. Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Service, Sir Mark Rowley. Re. CRN 609679. Criminal and constitutional violations connected to Operation. This correspondence brings to your notice and attention damning evidence of unlawful conduct, systematic concealment, and constitutional collapse within policing, government, and the justice system. The evidence establishes beyond doubt that crime reference number 60296791 was unlawfully shut down, outside all statutory frameworks, and under the influence of a national command structure which extinguished investigative independence across the United Kingdom. What follows is not speculation, suggestion, or belief. The evidence within our possession proves this. 1. CRN 60967921. The evidence proves this crime report was never fully investigated in accordance with statutory duties. The following facts are now beyond dispute. More than 400 victim, witness, expert, and whistleblower statements were submitted, and not one victim, witness, whistleblower, or expert was contacted. No investigative steps whatsoever were properly pursued in accordance with statutory requirements. The case was closed by Deputy Assistant Commissioner Jane Connors and Detective Superintendent Tor Garnett. The closure coincided exactly with national commands issued under Operation Tala. The Spears Directive of 25 January 2022 explicitly ordered police staff not to accept or record vaccine-related crime reports. This is established as fact through documentation held by Police Scotland, obtained via FOI and corroborated by multiple NPCC admissions. The crime report must now be reopened immediately in full compliance with the National Crime Recording Standard, the Criminal Procedure and Investigations Act 1996, the Code for Crown Prosecutors, and Article 2 ECHR obligations. Failure to do so would compound the criminality too. Criminal investigation into the unlawful closure of CRN 60979921. As matters of fact, the following criminal offenses have been committed: perverting the course of justice and misconduct in public office and nonfeasance in public office and misfeasance in public office, assisting offenders, corporate and negligence offenses. These offenses were committed by named senior police officers, members of parliament, and regulatory officials. The question is not whether these crimes were committed. The question is, why were these crimes committed and under whose authority? And, specifically, why were all vaccine-related crime reports, including CRN 609-67921, shut down under an unlawful national directive? The evidence demonstrates a deliberate, coordinated pattern that cannot be reconciled with lawful policing or independent criminal investigation. Right across the UK, there are very many victims of these crimes, both those reported in the case of CRN 6096097921, and in consequence, also the crimes relating to its unlawful and unconstitutional closure. These victims are entitled to remedy, redress, and accountability, and it is intolerable that these people have been and are continuing to be substantially ignored by those who have stood aside from their duties of protection. 3. Operation Tala and the Spears Directive. National Command interference established the Spears Directive, along with additional documentary evidence, proves that Operation Tala was not a coordination framework, but a national command structure which it issued instructions on the advice of the NPCC. It transmitted those instructions via UK Gold Command. It unlawfully directed forces to suppress entire categories of crime reporting. It operated across England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, ignoring devolved policing structures. This is not conjecture. This is evidenced, documented, and verified. Police Scotland disclosed the directive in full. No English or Welsh police force has done so because they refuse, they obstruct, or they label lawful FOI requests as vexatious. The Police Scotland disclosure is the unfiltered directive. It directly contradicts public statements and sworn COVID inquiry testimony by senior policing leaders. 4. Constitutional collapse, established by evidence this matter now engages. The independence of policing across the UK, a unlawful national command interference, a systemic obstruction of criminal investigations, a breaches of CPIA 1996, a breaches of the duty of candor, a breaches of Articles 2, 3, 5, and 6 of the Human Rights Act 1998, and the integrity of judicial decision-making. The evidence proves a systemic collapse of constitutional safeguards and the rule of law. This is not expressed as possibility. This is a demonstrated reality. 5. Background. The record must be stated clearly. 5.1 COVID inquiry. The COVID inquiry has repeatedly confirmed that criminal conduct falls outside its remit and must be reported to the police. This was done. The police refused to investigate because they were ordered not to. Point 2 Judicial review. A judicial review was sought to compel a lawful investigation. The JR was refused. The appeal was refused. It is now proven that the Metropolitan Police withheld reference to Operation Tala, withheld the Spears Directive, withheld their CPIA obligations, withheld the fact that national instructions had shut down all related crime reports. The court ruled without the evidence it was entitled to. The police's omissions led to a judgment based on material non-disclosure, causing constitutional harm and obstructing justice. Point 3 H. MIFAR's report. April 2021, the HM Inspectorate of Constabulary confirmed the police misinterpreted government guidance, as law officers believed ministerial instructions were binding law. Police acted as coercive agents of government. MIFAR's warned. The police must be seen to be enforcing criminal law, not to appear to act as the coercive agents of ministers. These findings are consistent with and reinforce the documented national suppression of criminal reporting under Operation Tala. We must also add that the House of Lords Constitution Committee in June 2021 had then delivered a damning indictment of policing during the pandemic, the third report by the Select Committee on the Constitution of session 2021-22 refers, stating unequivocally that public health advice was incorrectly enforced by the police as though it were law. This is a formal parliamentary finding that UK policing acted ultra vires, unlawfully restricting civil liberties, violating Articles 5 and 6 EC-CHR, and executing arrests and prosecutions without statutory basis. The evidence we hold confirms that this same unlawful policing was not accidental but operationalized, expanded and enforced through Operation Tala, culminating in the suppression of criminal reports, including the unlawful shutdown of 6029-679-21. 6. How this matter now needs to proceed given the criminality, concealment, and constitutional implications. This matter cannot be delegated to subordinates. We require a direct response from each of you. What steps will you now take, and by what mechanism, to address these criminal and constitutional violations? A meeting must now take place. We will attend jointly to outline the evidence and for next steps to be confirmed. Our evidential dossier cannot be provided in advance for it to be reviewed prior to such a meeting. The dossier will be provided in person at the meeting to the appropriate constitutional office holders. 7. Required response. We now request that you 1. Acknowledge receipt. 2. Confirm your position and intended action within 7 days of receiving this correspondence. The gravity of these issues and their implications for constitutional stability, national security, and the rule of law requires immediate and direct action. Every other avenue of reporting has been exhausted, and involved institutions have simply engaged in a circular loop of non-accountability, which is why this current correspondence to yourselves is an essential step. We await your response. Yours sincerely, Ian Clayton, lead investigator, Ethical Approach UK, and Mark Sexton, retired police constable. Reply email address: ethics@ethicalapproach.co.uk. Nothing was done about this. I can't find any information on a response this letter generated. Does anyone know? I emailed Mark, ethics@ethicalapproach.co.uk, and am awaiting a reply. It will be interesting to see if there was a reply. I don't see how they could reply to that. It's pretty conclusive. So don't worry when the police are trying to access your Sestuiqui birth bonds, and don't listen to any crap from anyone in authority about how come you don't have bonds. They use them bonds to loan you your mortgage funds, lend you your own funds. Really? I'm not having it, not from child killers anyway, or the people who wittingly or unwittingly support them. The Rothschild Secret Covenant 1. An illusion it will be, so large, so vast, it will escape their perception. 2. Those who will see it will be thought of as insane. 3. We will create separate fronts to prevent them from seeing the connection between us. 4. We will behave as if we are not connected to keep the illusion alive. Our goal will be accomplished one drop at a time, so as to never bring suspicion upon ourselves. This will also prevent them from seeing the changes as they occur. 5. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute. 6. We will work together always and will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks. 7. We will keep their lifespan short and their minds weak, while pretending to do the opposite. 8. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways, so they will never see what is happening. 9. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. And 10. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. 11. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. 12. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and mouths. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. 13. From all this, their children will be born dead, and we will conceal this information. 14. The poisons will be hidden in everything that surrounds them, in what they drink, eat, breathe, and wear. 15. We must be ingenious in dispensing the poisons, for they can see far. And 16. We will teach them that the poisons are good, with fun images and musical tones. 7. Those they look up to will help. We will enlist them to push our poisons. 18. They will see our products used in film, and will grow accustomed to them, and will never know their true effects. And 9. When they give birth, we will inject poisons into the blood of their children and convince them it's for their help. We will start early on, when their minds are young. We will target their children with what children love most, sweet things. 1. When their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will kill their mind and steal their future. 2. When their ability to learn has been affected, we will create medicine that will make them sicker and create other diseases, for which we will create yet more medicine. 3. We will render them docile and weak before us with our power. 44. They will grow more depressed, slow and obese, and when they come to us for help, we will give them more poison. 5. We will focus their attention towards money and material goods, so they may never connect with their inner self. We will distract them with fornication, external pleasures, and games, so they may never be one with the oneness of it all. 6. Their minds will belong to us, and they will do what we say. If they refuse, we shall find ways to implement mind-altering technology into their lives. 7. We will use fear as our weapon. 8. We will establish their governments and establish opposites within. We will own both sides. 9. We will always hide our objective, but carry out our plan. 10. They will perform the labor for us, and we shall prosper from their toil. 1. Our families must never mix with theirs. Our blood must be pure always, for it is the way. 3. We will make them kill each other when it suits us. 3. We will keep them separated from the oneness by dogma and religion. 4. We will control all aspects of their lives and tell them what to think and how. 5. We will guide them kindly and gently, letting them think they are guiding themselves. 6. We will foment animosity among them through our factions. 7. When a light shall shine among them, we shall extinguish it by ridicule or death, whichever suits us best. 8. We will make them rip each other's hearts apart and kill their own children. 9. We will accomplish this by using hate as our ally, anger as our friend. 40. The hate will blind them totally, and never will they see that from their conflict, we emerge as their rulers. They will be busy killing each other. 1. They will bathe in their own blood and kill their neighbors for as long as we see fit. 2. We will benefit greatly from this, for they will not see us, for they cannot see us. 3. We will continue to prosper from their wars and from their deaths. 4. We shall repeat this over and over until our ultimate goal is accomplished. 5. We will continue to make them live in fear and anger through images and sounds. 6. We will use all the tools we have to accomplish this. The tools will be provided by their labor. 8. We will make them hate themselves and their neighbors. 9. We will always hide the divine truth from them, that we are all one. This they must never know. 50. They must never know that a man's color is an illusion. They must always think they are not equal. And, drop by drop, we shall advance our goal. We will take over their land, resources, and wealth to exercise total control over them. 3. We will deceive them into accepting laws that will steal the little freedom they will have. 4. We will establish a money system that will imprison them forever, keeping them and their children in debt. 5. When they shall band together, we shall accuse them of crimes and present a different story to the world, for we shall own all the media. 6. We will use our media to control the flow of information and their sentiment in our favor. 7. When they shall rise up against us, we shall crush them like insects, for they are less than that. 8. They will be helpless to do anything, for they will have no weapons. 9. We will recruit some of them to help us carry out our plans. We will promise them eternal life, but eternal life they will never have, for they are not of us. 8. The recruits will be called initiates, and will be indoctrinated to believe false rites of passage to higher realms. Members of these groups will think they are one with us, never knowing the truth. They must never learn this truth, for they will turn against us. Sin. For their work, they will be rewarded with earthly things and great titles, but never will they become immortal and join us, never will they receive the light and travel to the stars. Sictum. They will never reach the higher realms, for the killing of their own kind will prevent passage to that realm of enlightenment. This they will never know. 3. The truth will be hidden in their face, so close they will be unable to focus upon it until it is too late. 4. Oh yes, so grand will the illusion of freedom be that they will never know they are our slaves. 5. When all is in place, the reality we have created for them will be their prison. They will live in delusion. When our goal is accomplished, a new era of domination will begin. 7. Their minds will be bound by their beliefs, the beliefs that we have established from time immemorial. 8. But if they ever find out they are our equals, we shall perish then. This they must never know. 9. If they ever find out that together they can vanquish us, they will take action. 7. They must never ever find out what we have done, for if they do, we shall have no place to run, for it will be easy to see who we are once the veil has fallen. Our actions shall have revealed who we are, and they will hunt us down, and no person shall give us shelter. 7. This is the secret covenant by which we shall live the rest of our present and future lives, for this reality shall transcend many generations and lifespans. 7. This covenant is sealed by blood, our blood. We are the ones who from heaven to earth came. 3. This covenant must never, ever be known to exist. It must never, ever be written or spoken of, for if it is, the consciousness it will spawn will release the fury of the Prime Creator upon us, and we shall be cast into the depths from whence we came and remain there until the end of infinity itself.